Hello, loyal readers. It's been a while since I've posted any blogs, and I'm going to do a video blog for you today. You might recall from my very first blog I mentioned there would be game reviews. You also might notice there haven't been any. There's a lot of reasons for that. First off, I was not retired yet when I first started doing my blog. Secondly, I didn't have the equipment required to do video blogs. And then we moved. That took up all of our time. And then we got sick for the entire beginning of the year. So there's been a lot of reasons why I haven't done any blogging. So I'm really excited to get back into this and start getting you some blogs that I want to show you. This is going to be an overview of video blogs on gaming that I will be doing. I will share with you the start of my gaming passion, how to get and play games, a detailed overview of a game clearinghouse that I use, some general tips and suggestions, and lastly, my inspiration for blogging and doing video blogging. First off, I want to show you the first gaming system that I ever used. It was called Intellivision, and I think it came around in the early 80s. I played it in the mid 80s. I don't recall any games that I played on it. I don't think I played it very much, but it was the first game system console that I owned, and I wanted to share what that looked like with those of you who may never have seen one. I also played a Nintendo in the late 80s, and I think I played The Legend of Zelda. It was the first time I ever played a game like that where there was a character that I was really into, and that was the very first one. I played it from start to finish, and it was a very exciting game for me at the time. I do believe it was the very original Zelda. And then after that, I was married to a gentleman who was a huge gamer, and I would look over his shoulder at the games that he was playing, and one of the first ones that I saw was called Quest for Glory. It looked like a really interesting game. The graphics were really different and beautiful from what I had seen before, and I wanted to play it too, so I got myself a little computer and I played I played Quest for Glory. It was a really interesting game, and the graphics were beautiful, and I enjoyed the storyline, and it became a really good, fresh, new start for me in really becoming a gamer. After that, I noticed he was playing a game called Ultima 7, and in that game, which I also played, I could play a female character, which really helped me with immersion, and that became a lifelong passion of game playing for me, and it started with Ultima 7. Later down the road, I'll be doing some reviews and showing you some gameplay video of these older games so you can see what it looked like. There's various ways of buying and playing games. One of the easiest ones is Facebook. If you have a Facebook account, on the top left there should be a place to search for things. If you type in the word games, you'll see games, play games with friends or by yourself. If you click on that, you'll see all different kinds of games you can play. A lot of these are free to play, so it doesn't bust the budget. Some of them are games that you play with other people. Some of them are games you can play by yourself. So take a look there for a really great resource of a lot of different type of games that you can play. Another way to play games is via your tablet or even your phone. And I happen to have iPhone and iPads, so I go to the App Store on my device, and you can find tons of games to play there. A lot of them are free, some of them cost money. I believe if you have an Android, you would be looking at the Google Play Store, and that should give you some great options for a way to have a game you can carry around with you to play at any time that you want to play. You can also purchase games, hard copy games, in stores like GameStop. You can purchase them online to be sent to you. You can also purchase used games on places like eBay, but I do encourage you to be careful with that because if you buy a used game and it has been registered from the original person who played it, I do not know if there's any kind of guarantee that you can re-register it, and some games will not play if they're not registered. So I encourage caution if you're going to be buying any used games like that. Another way to get games is you can download them directly from the developer's website. In this case, this is Toontown Rewritten. This is an entirely free game, and it is a multiplayer game, so you can see other people and play with other people you ask to join as well. If you're going to download a game directly, I encourage you to go directly to the manufacturer or the developer's website. So for instance, Toontown Rewritten, go right to their website. Don't download it from another location. You can get viruses this way on your computer. So be careful when you download online that you're downloading from a really good place. That would be a safe place to download from. You can still play on console systems. I don't think the Intellivision is available anymore, but there's PlayStations and all kinds of things like that. I don't have any. I know that our kids and grandkids do. The downside of it is it has to be connected to a television or a monitor. And then sometimes on those versions of the games, you can't get some of the extra content that you could get on a PC version. So sometimes there is what they call DLC, download content, and you can't do that on some of the console versions of those games. So there's also a great place to get games, which is where I get them. There's a couple of these online clearinghouses. They're called, one of them is called GOG, G-O-G. I showed you that earlier on the screen. I prefer Steam, and there's no exactly reason why I do. I just happen to like Steam. You come here, you log in and create an account. You install Steam on your computer, and then from there you will be able to download games right directly to your computer. And there's a lot of reasons that I prefer doing it this way. You can easily find games to download. You can choose genres. Say you want to do only free games, you can click that and it will show you only the games that are free. If you want to do adventure games, RPGs, multiplayer games, simulation games, sports games, strategy, whatever your genre is, it's easy to find those games and download them from there. And there's some interesting, once you download a game and install it, there's some interesting statistics that it shows you on your screen. So let me give you an example of some of those. First off, the other thing I want to tell you about Steam that I found really important is games that are no longer in production. In the mid-90s, I played a game called Phantasmagoria, and I absolutely loved it. It was a really unusual game where they used live-action people. This is a woman and this is an actual dog, but the rest of the game was hand-drawn. It was really interesting at the time, very different, and I really loved it and wanted to play it again, but my discs wouldn't work in my newer computer, which is very common on old games like that. So I found this game, and I found it for $4.99. Now, they also put these old games on sale sometimes, and you can get them for as low as $1.99. So it's a great way to get a lot of games for nearly nothing. Something interesting that they do here is keep track of your playtime. So I've played Phantasmagoria 9 hours, 9.8 hours. I last played it December 27th of 2020. And it's just some interesting statistics to kind of keep an eye on things. Now, on the other side of that, for me, if you look at another game called Shroud of the Avatar, I've played it 2,251 hours. That may seem like an awful lot of hours, but on the other side is I played it for 10 years, still playing it on occasion. So it's interesting to look at those differences there, and just fun for me to keep that statistics. Other things I keep track of is what they call achievements. Achievements are things that the developers put in on Steam to keep you coming back to play, to keep you acquiring these achievements. So for instance, the last achievement that I did on Shroud of the Avatar was I learned what I could from Thanatos in the Court of Souls. And it says here that 3.2% of players have this achievement. So it's just a way of keeping you coming back and trying to gain those achievements. So just something kind of interesting. Another interesting thing about using something like Steam is that if you install it on other devices, so like I have a laptop that this is installed on, when I finish playing the game, it will upload and save my place on my game. Then I can sit down with my laptop, pull Steam up, pull the game up, and I can continue on from where I was. So that was kind of a really cool thing that I liked about Steam in particular. Steam sometimes will suggest other games that are similar to what I'm playing, so it's one way to find games that I've never heard of before. And another thing that's interesting is game reviews. So if you want to review a game, find out what it's about before you look into it, make sure it's something you're interested in, you can read reviews. In this case, I did a review of this game. So it's just kind of something else to help as you're trying to figure out if you want to play a game or not. There's also a comment section where people put comments, and they are often things like tips and tricks or ways to edit the game to make it more fun to play. And I find it interesting to kind of browse through those sometimes, and there's all kinds of different things here. Sometimes they just have, just funny videos from the game that people want to post. That's in the comment section of any game. You can add friends to your Steam account, and those friends you can see when they pop online. You can send them messages there. You can also find out if any of those friends play those games that you've played. So for instance, I've got a couple of my personal friends who play this game, and I can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm getting ready to play this game, or in the case of a multiplayer game, hey, I'm getting ready to play, would you like to join me for a while? So that's kind of a cool thing. You can also have a wish list. So if I find a game that I'm interested in, I don't want to buy it right now, I can put it in my wish list just to kind of remind myself, and they'll send me a message from Steam when it goes on sale. So let's say if I'm interested in a game and it's $50, there's no way I'm going to pay that. They might have a 50 or 75% off weekend where I can get that game relatively cheap. So that's kind of a fun way to keep your price down on your massive collection of games you may end up with. And something else you could do is gift people games. So for instance, my son wanted me to try a game called Portal 2. And so he purchased it for me when he caught it on sale one weekend, and he sent it to me via Steam. And when I pulled Steam up, guess what? I had a brand new game to play. So that's kind of a cool feature. By the way, son, sorry, I haven't installed it on this current computer that I have. So sorry about that. But it's just a cool way to send gifts to people. My grandson wanted a game for Christmas time, and I was able to find it on here and send it to him, and it showed up on his library on Christmas morning. So it's kind of another cool reason among many using Steam and why I use Steam. A couple of tips that I'll cover in more detail when I do videos of specific games, but I wanted to mention them here. Before you buy a game for your computer or laptop, check the system requirements. Most older games it won't matter as much. You won't have any system requirements. Your game will play on anything. But if you're going to be buying newer games or games that are much more advanced, then you definitely want to check your system requirements to make sure your computer can handle it. And I'll have a quick story about that. I did play a very high-end game on a very old computer, and it ended up ruining my video card and therefore trashed the computer because it got too hot. It pushed my game beyond the limit. So just double check those system requirements to make sure that your computer can handle the game. There's also game forums and walkthroughs that can be a great help. So for instance, when I was playing Phantasmagoria, I wanted to do a fast playthrough on it. I found a walkthrough that basically told me what to do step by step. It was kind of a puzzle game, and I wasn't interested in the time of playing the puzzle. I just wanted to play the game all the way through. So you can check game forums and walkthroughs. That can be a really good help if you get stuck and would like that kind of help. I want to share with you my inspiration for doing video blogging in particular, but blogging in general. I come across this lady named Shirley Curry, on one of the forums for Skyrim that I was playing, which is a high-end game. And I found out this lady, who is about 90 years old or so, played Skyrim, which is a high-end game. I always felt kind of out of step and out of place because I was an older female gamer, and now I'm a senior older female gamer. And, you know, it feels weird to be playing games that people who are playing are generally 20 and 30 years younger than you. But for some reason, Grandma Shirley absolutely loves Skyrim. And her grandson or her son helped her get this all set up. And eventually she decided to do a YouTube channel of her game playing activities. And I started watching some of the videos, and they absolutely cracked me up. She's such a sweetheart. She calls her almost 1 million subscribers grandchildren, and sometimes she'll read a story. She's writing a book, and so she'll post a excerpt from her book that she's wants to read to everybody. And she's just a fascinating person, and I wrote her privately and asked her about blogging and gaming in general, and she gave me some really wonderful advice. She told me to follow my passion. She said that if I was interested in blogging about my gaming or whatever else, I should do it. Follow my passion. And I figure that she's a really good person to take advice from, and that's why you're seeing this blog today. So that's about it for this one. Check out my blog, retiredgeekwoman.com, for more content. I'm going to be doing game blog videos very soon. So get your game on, loyal readers, and send me a note on what you're playing.